Okay, great. So, Jermaine, since we got you first up, can you introduce yourself and again a little context to how you LEDC can help us give more opportunities to our 18 to 24-year-old youth.
Sure. So, Jermaine Hampton, Director of Workforce Development with LAEDC. In general, we work in a few different areas. So, primarily building talent pipelines across the LA region. We partner with the Center for Competitive Workforce, which is actually created by us to provide services, workforce services to the community colleges throughout the LA region. So, there's 19 of those that we work with. 500,000 plus students, obviously from all different race and demographics. In addition to that, we also partner with other educational partners such as the CSU5, Cal State University, UCLA, USC, just to mention a couple others. We also do work with all of the K through 12 districts, so LA Unified, Linwood Unified, etc. And then also work with our community-based organization partners. There's an abundance of those. Kevin saw all of those individuals, well, a portion of them in our call earlier today. And then also we work with obviously the American Job Centers. There's 40 plus of those, the workforce development boards as well. And so we work with in many different areas. We also do economic development, obviously. So there's many different initiatives we work on. We primarily focus on the in-demand career pathways, which is identified, and we also provide data from our Institute of Applied Economics. And the whole point of that is to make sure, at least, so you have, several different areas. You got TV, film, and media. Everyone knows about that. But then you have several other sectors. Like everyone knows about your healthcare, knows about hospitality. Everyone knows about those industries. But what about bioscience? What about aerospace and defense? What about advanced transportation? So your EV market. A lot of, especially youngsters, all the way up into your working adults, don't have much information on these career pathways. And so we do a lot of development in that area and giving exposure to these career pathways. So we have many different ways we do that. We're launching a career exploration platform called Gladio LA. This is a way for individuals to do a skills assessment, like I said, in the K through 12 all the way up to your working adults, so that they can learn about these in-demand career pathways that pay a living wage and or higher. So that's really what our focus is doing that exposure, convening. We work on a lot of different grants and policies that impact folks of all different types of backgrounds as well. And so my goal in specific as director of workforce is to continue to bring the community together. In specific, my main focus over the next 5 years of our strategic plan is engaging underserved communities. And when I say engagement, I mean really working with the communities and ensuring that folks have access and knowledge about these career pathways so that they can get engaged with them. And we have, basketball and football and playing sports is great. You know what I mean? Becoming an actor is great, but we need more doctors that are Black. We need more lawyers that are Black. And more importantly, we need more, individuals in specific in these in-demand pathways that you don't hear much about. The ocean economy, bioscience, aerospace and defense. There's not enough Black representation in those areas, and they pay really good wages. And a lot of times you can get a certification and bypass college and or a 4-year degree and merge into those opportunities and get work experience. And then on the flip side, maybe we do need to identify a pathway for you and funding and what that looks like for a youth that's in the 12th grade, doesn't know what they want to do. Get them in that exposure to that new career pathway and then merge on along that career pathway into a fruitful career. So that's just high level, what we do, just to kind of, sum things up.
Fantastic. And I want to come back, Jermaine, to a couple of the things that we heard today, but I'm going to do another intro. John Bassanelli, are you available for us to see? If not, then we need to do a brief introduction of, again, how we met and more importantly, what is it that you're working on today and how can we bring all that knowledge and exposure to a group of students that can work, under your tutelage. You're muted, John. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I have very limited video and audio access today. Sorry.
No problem.
So I work in media, audio, digital, and I work with groups of radio and TV stations around the country, and also trying to reintroduce audio and video media to younger audiences around the country. And we put together a program with the California community colleges that that Kevin had seen. And we were starting to work on that project, and COVID hit us like it did so many other. And so we weren't able to really build that program. But Kevin and I reconnected about a year ago, and we're trying to put some wheels back on the program that we put together, so that we could show students that there were other kinds of career opportunities available. So that's what we've been working on, and I've been working on for the past year, basically. And again, work with a variety of different companies, media companies, advertising agencies, and clients within those parameters to bring a better awareness to the underserved, and trying to provide some access.
Great. I'm going to give a little bit more context. We met John at the LAEDC DME. I think it was the digital media. I can't remember what the E stands for, but literally, this is more for Jermaine, almost 3 years ago. It will be 3 years in December. The very last conference, physical conference they had, that Jessica Kim Koo invited our organization to be the keynote speaker. I turned that over to a gentleman by the name of Shoni Monet Doe, who at that time was a student at Santa Monica College. So he gave the keynote address, we recorded it, but it was that meeting that sparked the idea of getting a focus group of young students who community college students to sit down with Intercom, who's now become Odyssey, to talk about a student-produced radio station. I mean, a station with a band that literally was going to, again, get all the mentorship and guidance from Odyssey that would allow them to stand up a real radio station. Not just a podcast, a real radio station with advertisers learning all the positions to stand up and sustain that communication channel.
Oh,
There we go.
Everyone is here.
Okay. So,
Hey, sir,
yeah.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
So we'll
So-
do. Yeah.
So I'm going to turn the laptop around, so hopefully we get everybody in here.
Okay.
Let's see, I'm gonna push it back a little bit further.
Let me close the door right here.
Okay, but so that was the impetus for us putting together this radio TV broadcast channel. And at the time, we had already talked about doing something with Santa Monica College called Brownbagt TV, which is kind of a program offering that would allow students to learn by doing, but more importantly, stand this thing up, make it sustainable, and create a way for them to understand the business of digital audio recording. And again, COVID halted a lot of that, but we continue to work through the pandemic to talk about, what would happen on the other end after COVID. And here's where we are, almost 3 years later. We're now ready to put a group of students in a position where we can put a program on the air. And again, there's a lot of campus radio stations. There's a lot of podcasts. Our goal is to aggregate all of them and have a network so that each campus can have their own channel and they can talk to one another and build consensus on editorializing the things that are important to them. And, Jermaine, on the conversation this morning, I raised my hand and said, I want to advocate for student voice and agency, primarily 18 to 28-year-olds, because a lot of that interest that I have received from the students I've worked with has not ever really been addressed. And the problem is that I don't think anybody can create a vision for how students can be part of the conversation. As they say, how can we have these tables on tables? And I don't think that there's ever really been a real serious understanding of what we could do to give them that opportunity to plug in to the things that are going to be designed for them without their participation, without their voice. So capability building and some of the other things that I heard terms are the things we want to build into our training, into our exposure about how to get them student voice and agency, with all the things that we can teach them about making sure that this thing is fully fortified to be something that every semester, every year, when we rotate other people in, can actually do some change agency. So that's my little piece. Anybody have any questions, suggestions, or comments about what I just said? Okay, so I want to introduce you guys to the director of this center. And again, this gentleman has been introduced to me by a lady by the name of Makita Vela.
Yeah, I received, this is he's my assistant media guy.
Oh, okay,
I work
great.
with kids.
Right, so I'm going to turn the floor over to
Sure.
you two guys. I'm going to put the camera over here so that the people on the thing.
Who am I talking to right?
Okay.
Good afternoon,
so
everyone.
What I'm going to do,
Yeah.
you have a introduction, please, and then I'm going to have them reintroduce themselves to
Okay.
you.
Okay, so my name is Hugh Carter. I'm the director of the Watts Youth Choice Center. And we cover the southeast region of Los Angeles. We have about, in total, that comes to our center each year, about 3,000 kids. In this summer, we have the highest amount, which is about maybe 1,200 or more. And yeah, we've been operating in this community for about 20 years. Here, I think in our program here, we help kids, mostly out of school kids, get back in school, and those that are in school move on, graduate, make sure they graduate. We provide internship throughout the year, apart from just the summer. We have LAUSD staff on board to make sure when a student comes in, she checks their grades and let us know where they're at so we can work with them from there on. We have a lot of kids really from all over LA, but primarily in this immediate vicinity. And here within this 4-mile radius, is four of the biggest projects in the city of LA is here. So, and those are the group, and thus the population we try to cater to the most. On this center so far during the pandemic, we were busy working to develop our media program and other arts programs. So we did a media lab. I don't know if you guys see that. And next door to it is the video production space that we still need working on getting equipment in. And then here on this floor, we have the fashion design lab as well. And pretty much downstairs, you see the gym and things, all stuff like that. So we have activities and things that goes on, that not just with recreational groups and all this other stuff. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. And I'd like to meet this young man here.
This is Kevin. He's my media assistant. He works with. He's going to be working with the kids this summer to on their media projects and things like that. So he's going to be one of the leads.
Okay.
When does your video program start?
It starts in July, the second week in July.
Okay. How long does it go?
It goes for the whole summer, and the kids who are really genuinely interested in this is a career for them, and
Yes.
continue out for the rest of the year.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Great. Great. Kevin, do you have anything you want to?
So yeah, Hugh introduced me already. My name is Ken Valencia. I've been helping Hugh for a while now, so like different projects, like the media project, and I'm gonna be helping out with that as well.
Okay. And what's your background?
I'm a college student at the moment. Yeah,
Okay. Where?
the media sales.
When do you graduate? What's your projected graduation date?
2025.
2025. Okay. So that means you're a sophomore?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So Jermaine, if you can introduce yourself again, and then John, these gentlemen need to know how they can, plug into any resources as well as, again, just, how you can help us create a product, a media broadcast product that will allow these students to not only learn, but, again, push buttons, pull levers, and get something out to the marketplace we'll be proud of. So Jermaine, can you?
Absolutely. Got it. Yeah. So Jermaine Hampton, again, Director of Workforce Development with LAEDC, which is Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation, or Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. We do work out throughout the LA region, and really workforce development and also economic development. So really from a workforce standpoint, we work with our education institutes, throughout the LA region. So the community colleges, there's 19 of those that we work with, 500,000 plus students, the CSU University. So then also UCLA, USC as well. And then in addition to that, we obviously work with the Unified School District. So LAUSD, we've done a lot of work with. Linwood Unified, we've done a lot of work with as well, and several others. Also, really just kind of, the American Job Centers, there's 40 plus of those, in the LA region that we work with in different capacities, our workforce development boards, as well as a variety of different community-based organizations throughout the LA region as well. So we do policy level work, but in addition to that, we have a lot of work that actually hits the ground as well, that really impacts, multiple communities in many different ways. Everything we do is about building talent pipelines and education pipelines, particularly in in-demand career pathways. So TV, film, and media obviously is one of those pathways that we focus on amongst others. A lot of times we do want to give exposure to some of these new high growth pathways that a lot of folks don't know about, especially our youth, which is like bioscience, aerospace and defense, and some of these other pathways that have really great wages associated with them, and pathways where, you can have a 12th grader that isn't really sure what they want to do, and they can get a certificate and go into a living wage job. And when I say living wage, I mean something that is $20 an hour or higher. That is where folks need to be in order to take care of themselves in LA County. Outside of that, we do help a lot of new businesses grow. We help develop entrepreneurs. And like I said, from a policy standpoint, we work on a lot of different things that impact communities in many different ways, in terms of funding, et cetera.
And Jermaine, if you can, tell us a little about what happened today, what the CERF was. I mean, I was a late invite, but can you tell us a little bit about the prospects of us participating in that?
Yeah. So that's the SURF process that's the California Economic Resiliency Fund. And so this is funding that's going to be coming down from the state. So we've put together a coalition of partners all throughout the county, so that we can really work together on this grant. The grant is going to be released, looks like next Friday, I believe. It's the next Thursday or Friday. And so we're really just getting partners around the table who are going to benefit from this and also serve the pockets within LA County that are really underrepresented or underserved. So Watts, obviously is definitely one of those areas for sure that we want to include in these conversations. So when I say conversations, I mean literally having you part of the solicitation process so that you can ensure that things that you're looking to do in your community are funded. We don't know all of the details yet, but right now we're really just in the planning phase and just starting to have meetings and making sure that everyone is represented. So returning citizens, veterans, youth, and young adults who are experiencing at risk of homelessness, or just are disadvantaged in general, all the way to, your unemployed individuals who really fell from COVID and haven't been able to pick themselves back up. So organizations in specific that do this work or serve these individuals, and then figuring out ways to collaborate so that we can get some funding really to either supplement things you're already doing, or sustain things, long term that you are looking to continue. So that's really what that SURF piece is about.
Right. And so, guys, I created for the people working with us some glossary of terms that I found very just eye-opening that would allow me to integrate those things in my conversation so that I could speak the language of how to get prepared for joining a coalition or at least a group that is trying to have consensus on bringing in the voiceless and the people who have never really had a chance to participate at the table. So these terms I think will help, especially the groups that I'm interested in, which are students, to get student voice and agency. I'm looking at trying to get people 18 to 28 to be able to understand the business of the business, which means also understanding the politics, not just the funding, but the policies and all the laws that are going to impact them as they grow into these roles. So that's a very important component of what it is I'd like to be able to focus on for those ones who want to be leaders, not leading anybody but themselves through the process. But if they do want to be leaders, they want to be peer-to-peer mentors, we're encouraging those. So we'll have a few people on our team that aren't on the call today be part of that process of showing young people, how to speak up and really, again, make sure their voices, are included. And so John Bassinelli, if you can share with us a little bit more detail about what you did at Intercom Odyssey and what kind of jobs could be had operating a radio station and a podcast.
Well, there's a variety of different positions that we could train students, through this opportunity that would be related to media and, behind the camera or in front of the camera, copywriting, creative storyboarding, the actual execution of the audio or audio and video. There is editing that would be part of it. Computer graphics is all part of it. Email marketing, digital marketing, social media, audio and video, messaging could be part of it as well. And these are all different skill sets that could be easily taught for students to see that, that there are opportunities like this all across the country, not just in Los Angeles or New York or, where they think that music and film is taking place. So there is really quite a lot of opportunity. In addition to that, the relationships that we have with advertising agencies and other media companies also provides an opportunity for students to have access to that creative community on the simply creative side or the business side. And it gives them an opportunity to interview, with those companies so that they can get real experience in the job market and what they would need to do in that process to prepare themselves.
Right. And I put emphasis on John's experience because he was the sales manager. So again, a lot of his operational duties were to drive revenue because a lot of students don't know the business of all this media production is to make money. Right. And, advertisers, sponsors, but there's a lot of other nuances of things that they just have no idea. And so we want to make sure that they get an understanding of how to succeed or fail to stand that station up and to keep it running. So those are the things that, can be a little bit more daunting for some students, but again, as they work themselves into a role and rotate themselves, they will, they'll learn the terms, they'll learn the meaning of how to get a station on air. So any questions, suggestions, or comments this far?
No.
Yeah.
I'm like what I'm hearing, so.
Yeah, so the thing that we're going to focus on, we have a couple of meetings next week with the California Community College Foundation and the Chancellor's Office.
Okay.
And, declining enrollment. We also have a meeting with the governor's office set up to talk about some of the workforce stuff that they would like to see happen to underserved communities. And I think it really is important for us to figure out what the needs are. And again, we know that you guys through the city of LA have a pulse on what has been successful and what hasn't been. And without that voice and without that understanding of what we can do to not have to duplicate all the things that have basically just not worked, especially pre-COVID. Now that we're in hopefully a post-pandemic cycle, we got to figure out, how to create a real pilot. And so my goal now is to take whatever access to funding and exposure to make this something that again becomes something that allows all your students who have interest but capable to plug in. And that's what we want to see. So I'm calling this thing Brownbagt TV only because we want to offer up a sustainable program during lunchtime. We figured, 0 hour or after school, we're going to lose some of the audience. But in California, we believe that people can take some of their lunchtime to tune in and be able to hear, see, when we have video capabilities as an overlay to the audio, what they can do to be part of our audience. So that's the goal. And I want to include you guys again on every level to put students first.
I think especially when it comes to the entertainment industry and media, education and all that is good, but at the end of the day, talent is what stands out. You can have all the education in the world, but if you don't have that talent, then the ideal is to have both, right? So when our kids comes in, and we put them through a series of different small projects and everything like that to kind of gauge that we have students who are truly, really interested in this. Some like, oh, TV, I want to do it. This, I want to do it. But come to the work time and come to really be vested and show a bit of creativity. It's not about that. I didn't know how to do that. So the first day for us is just not to send kids over, regardless of the programs, or get them involved, but to make an assessment and see if this is truly what they want. Because we have some students who are very creative, and I hate to stifle those students and not allow them to grow, because we have a group that are just not, they're in there for the popular of the interest of the field, but not because there's truly want to get that, want to really be in the field. So we'll go through like 100 or so students, and then we'll come down probably with 20, 25. But if those are 25 that's going to give you 100% effort, then it's better than having 100.
Right. And John, how many different roles could be in an operation, in a radio station at one time? Just a ballpark. How many different people? So my idea is to have a number and have these students rotate.
That's how we do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So how many people could be working on a conceptual project, a radio station?
I'm just trying to, like 15 to 18.
Okay. And they could pair up, they could match up, so that they're not, kind of on an island by themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we usually do 10. Yeah, 10 to 15. That's 15 will be the max in our group.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn
That
this to
wouldn't
Terrence.
be a problem.
Yeah. So Terrence, can you describe a production that we've done thus far, a live streaming event, not just audio, but video, streaming, pre-roll advertising, lights, sound, everything?
Yeah, so I think there's two that we've done recently. One was for Veterans Day, and we broadcast live from the Union Bank facility over here on Crenshaw and Slauson, right there. And so we're in that little community center off from the bank. And the biggest issue that we had there was no connectivity. We had to run the Wi-Fi. So basically, I was running the whole broadcast off my phone.
Wow.
But we did a live stream broadcast, but we had also captured it. I brought a video production crew, green screen, everything, virtual production. And so we turned it into a little over a 1 hour video. And that's professionally produced. So literally it's a product that's post-production. It was on, I'd say at that production, we could have used 2 or 3 PAs, somebody on audio, somebody on video, somebody on streaming with me. We could have probably put a crew of about 6 to 8 people to work to do that. We did it with Shoni helping me, and one guy doing the video because the other guy got COVID. And so, and we had the talent. So talent is a very good friend of mine, Richard Gant, who's an
Mhm.
actor, who's a business partner of mine.
Mhm.
So he came in, he interviewed Mr. Powell. We also had General Gordon Gray. So we have access to talent. So that would be an example of a broadcast, right?
Okay,
Memorial Day live, Veterans Day live.
Mhm.
Another one we just did was at the City Club in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
Brought in another producer, same thing, from the whatever studio. It was a movie
Mhm.
screening room.
Mhm.
Another live broadcast we brought in with Mitch Richmond, a young lady. She was really the interviewer, so at least she was a student, college student.
Yeah, that's one of the people that we want to bring into your center. She's 22, just graduated from Biola
She's
University.
graduated from Biola. So she had the rest, and literally, she was gonna be more of a producer. She ended up being on screen because we didn't have anybody else. So she did both back of the house, front of the house. I produced. We had a cameraman, and we sort of did that live stream as well. And I would say, we've done live from Compton High School. That was 10 years ago, whatever. And I'd say this. I'm on my way to the United Nations, and I have a young lady who's a music recording artist, and I got her onto a campaign for discrimination against women and girls, and we'll be in the United Nations for Africa Day on next Wednesday. And that all came because she matriculated through a program called High School Record Label. And so basically in that world, teaching kids high school record label, to your point, talent. Gotta have heat, gotta have fire, gotta be talented.
Right.
But it's a commercial product oriented scenario, right? Not project based learning, but product based learning.
Right.
Everything here is about turning out a product. I think just like what John's saying, radio is a product.
Right.
You're serving a community, it has advertising, it has to have talent, you have to have ongoing, and it has to be continual, right? You can't stand up a station and not be on the air. And so I think the biggest challenge that we have, we've been doing point solutions. We haven't done anything consistent that this is a consistent show. In my experience, you got to start to say, hey, look, every Friday, starting whatever, this is production day. Pre-production Monday through Thursday. We're going on the air on Friday. We're going to broadcast on Friday from noon to 3, or whatever block you want, right? We're going to broadcast for that block, and then you got to put everybody around it, right? And you figure out this week, who's the talent? 3 different people get on air. You got an hour, you got an hour, you got an hour. What's your show? Hey, who's going to go out and sell the sponsorship for the show? Who's going to get it for the show? Who's going to put together the programming notes and the rest and the talent? Who are the guests? Who are you bringing in? And I think if you can roll people through that process, then we can find a way to say, okay, great. We can stand something up once a week. And can you move to something tighter than that to where you could do an hour a day? Right? But I think you have to teach those skills. And I mean, you can even come in here, pre-produce an hour a day in the week before. Pre-produce 5 hours. We pre-produce it, we get it in the can, and you just stream it, right? Not like live radio, but perhaps you have commentary around the live. So we're live, showing produced content, but you need to show that, and kids have their social too. You gotta get it out.
Right. Okay. Our one of our issues here is that now we're slowly getting the equipment and things like that from donation and sponsorship and everything like that. But the teaching itself, instructions, that's where there's a major gap in terms of if it's recording, in terms of production and video and things like that. So one of my kind of focus is also to get in folks that can come in and instruct and teach, because that's something that we don't have a lot of here at the moment.
So we have a curriculum that we've done twice. I did it for the first time at Columbia College Chicago, semester in LA, digital media exploration. We did it again at LA Mission College. It was called career exploration. And I think we'd be happy to bring something like that as well. And then I brought in guests who were experts in editing, in recording, and that way you get experience around those things.
Okay, so that's why it's important when they're talking about funding, because that we're tapping into the funding that can really provide the cost for instructors.
Yeah.
You mean I can get paid?
Huh?
You mean I can get paid? I did LA Mission College. I didn't get paid for LA Mission College.
Well,
and I
that's
taught.
Hey, and really in a real world situation, again, if we're paying the
I'm
students,
serious.
if we're paying the students, we definitely need to give honorariums to every speaker, to every subject matter expert. And
Right.
I believe that if it's real world, real platform, real time, this is a chance to go to the funding sources and say, hey, this is a product,
Mhm.
product-based learning.
Right.
This is no longer, again, concept. This is no longer all the things that, excuse me for saying it, but theory. Academics are really conceptual, and
Right.
those things are changing every day.
Right.
So we want to be able to make sure our programming points to where things are going,
Yeah.
where things are now.
Right. At the end of everything, there has to be a product. And
Yeah,
that's my thing.
absolutely. I
There
agree
has
with
to be a product.
100%.
And if there's not, then yeah, it's good to teach and to educate and for them to learn. But at the end of the day, any business is looking to see how are you going to help me?
Absolutely.
What are you bringing? What are you we're giving in exchange? I know we live in Watson, we're in one of the economically deepest disadvantaged community in LA. But at the same time, I don't want them just to help us because we're poor or help us because we're
Right.
down. I want to help us because we can do the job, help us because we have the talent, help us because we're willing to work, even if we don't have the talent. But we just have to walk in that door with something more than just poor me.
Yeah.
I just don't approach things in that way. Poor me, but look what I also can do.
Right.
Despite of my
Right.
situation, look what the strength I
Well,
have.
Hugh, the reason why I wanted to
agree
be
with you.
here and bring some of the folks who showed up today is
Uh-huh.
because I believe you can be a lightning rod for some of the other people in LA and LA County to look at helping us make sure we have a product that's, again, designed, created for students, by students, for students to be able to consume. And it starts with the notion that we can do it.
Right. Yeah. We did the video, and right now we've done about 10 shorts. We even did a feature,
Okay.
just to get them to the old reality of what it took us
What did
about.
you do a feature? How long?
It took us about 3 months to shoot and
course.
6 months to edit.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Okay, but that's the reality of what it is. We have, you mentioned the entrepreneurial program. We just had some kids who invested. They saved for the last 2 years, $6,000 each
Okay.
to buy one of those snow cart thing to sell. It's like a snow.
Oh
it
yeah,
sells
yeah,
snow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah,
somebody.
they put their money down just to purchase that. Now they're reaching out to the different business for who has concerts and events to say, can I do my business? I have can I do my business at your event?
Sure.
Those are reality. We can talk a lot of talk about kids or helping, but it has to be a product at the end of everything we do.
So again, I think somebody dropped off the call, but
Yeah.
what I want to do is invite you guys to a series of meetings to talk about putting our efforts together for the product,
Mhm.
again, with the talent and some of the people who are still interested in learning about product manufacturing, product development.
Mhm.
And again, we want to introduce this product to these people who just had probably never heard, well, how's this going to happen? Well, it's going to happen with us.
Well, I
Right.
mean, I'd say this, and this is personal, right? So, I mean, I've done stuff, give my own time, my own money, and all the rest to try to make those things happen.
Mhm.
If you guys would commit to getting the right kids in the place
Mhm.
and commit to a process where we come up with a product,
Mhm.
I'd be more than happy to, again, donate time and effort to
Right.
teach.
Mhm.
But it's with the outcome. I'm a businessman.
There you go.
They need to understand from day one. If you show up here, it's like a job
Right.
because I'm showing up here for free.
Mhm.
And I ain't gonna show up here for free if some people don't value my time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I was getting paid, y'all ain't got it. I ain't worried about you.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm gonna give my time, and I'm a chief revenue officer, and I'm
Mhm.
coming down to San Diego, and I would give Fridays when I'm here to come here and literally do something like this and really put in 3 hours on a Friday, middle of the day, go through curriculum, introducing the people. Like, because what I believe is, we could talk. We
Mhm.
could try to get money, we could try to get funding, and everything
Yeah.
I hear and everything I know from all the things, and as you know, takes forever. We
Yes.
could come up with an idea, we could pitch it today, you wouldn't have the money for 12 months.
Mhm.
But if we can do something by the end of the summer and we say, you know what, just us together, so what you did for that impressed me is you got the equipment. So I've been looking at, Kevin, I've been waiting to say, does somebody just meet me halfway,
Mhm.
have a place and have equipment
Mhm.
and have some people willing to show up. And by the way, all that hasn't really existed. We got random kids at LA Mission College. They had a great facility, I don't know that they were interested in what we were talking about because nobody qualified them. But
yeah,
we taught them VR production anyway, and they get
That-
presentations.
yeah,
They didn't even want to do VR production. They were just showing up. I don't know why
Yeah,
they
that
were
was
showing up.
2018. We were given a group of folks that had some interest in what we were calling at that point immersive media,
Yeah.
which was AR, VR in 2018. And no support from the community college, from the chance. Nobody knew what that was, where it was going as a career path at that time. Right now, we believe, we've learned from that we have to still be future forward and understanding where things are going. So like everything that I'm drawing up as a plan is to look at where Web 1.0 was, Web 2.0, 3.0, and even on to 4.0. And where we need to be is making sure we educate everybody who doesn't know anything about where things in business are evolving right now with all the capabilities to make money, is we got to make sure that people know, hey, this is where you guys have got to help us evolve into the fifth industrial revolution or something that's going to help these people by the time they get fully grown, be able to really compete.
Right.
And that's what it is, that's the narrative.
Well,
So-
I mean, to that point, like I said, is like, okay, today in a Web 3.0 world, you think you have a music production facility, right? The traditional music business is not what it was.
Right.
Meaning, if you develop a great music artist that comes out of here, there's no label deal waiting for them. They're not pressing any DVD, CDs. The best you can hope for is streams, and even 1 million streams will make you $5,000. So if they blew up out of here, had 1 million streams, they're gonna think they're a hit and make $5,000 because that's the business of the business. But music underlying NFTs with animation that go along with credits and the rest. Well, NFTs are a royalty stream that goes over time. And do you think that perhaps in sponsoring, a bit of the money goes to Yo Watts to sponsor the kid or what they need to do? Real money. Look, in that business, I don't come for free, but it's a part of the product that we put out because that's the business of the business.
Right.
But I'm also making sure the talent gets paid. And we're going to be doing a product that is the future, right? If you got this recording facility and you teach somebody how to come out and press a CD, man, you just gave them a disadvantage because that business don't live. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But you need to teach them, hey, but here's how music does exist. Music exists in a Web 3.0 world where it's authentic and it's you and people are buying into you directly. And we can teach you how to use that for monetization. All of a sudden, now I feel like there's a product at the end that the kid could look at and say, that's my product. And two, and you have intellectual property. We're talking, I want all the paperwork, all the rights, so that they have intellectual property. The center has some part in that because you're part of providing the opportunity. But then there's a product that can be repeated that funds itself upon success. Now, if you're not good, if it's not good, nobody's gonna buy it.
Right. And that's a lesson in within itself, right? You need to step up your game because that's the real world you're stepping into.
If it's not good, and look, I'll put out some crap for you, but guess what? The market will judge you.
Right.
I'm not gonna judge you. What Terrence says is hot, maybe I have a little bit of understanding what's hot. The market will tell you whether it's hot or not.
Right. And again, having your constituency of people, I mean, how many people are there in the EWDD? I heard 2,000 people.
You're talking this youth center, or you're talking
No, the whole city of LA, because again, you guys have to understand your reach.
The city hires about 10,000 people if you're talking the city itself.
No, I'm talking about EWDD.
Yeah, he does about 200 or something.
Oh, just 200, okay.
200, 300. I don't know right now because since COVID, people
Yeah,
are
but I was told about the
retiring
32 agencies that are getting money from
Oh, you're
Makita.
talking the youth source center.
Youth
Oh,
source center.
the youth source center.
Yeah, so I'm
There's
trying to
the-
look at the audience. Who's the audience? Who's
Okay.
going to be the audience for this program? I was told about 2,000 students who
Mhm.
are being paid between 18 and 24.
So these are the particular people who go through the program. These are potential students who, if they saw this, they would want to apply and be part of the
That's
next
the core audience.
generation.
Because at some point, they're understanding, they've been vetted, they've gone through the process of getting in to the
Yeah.
program.
Okay, I want to be real because
Be real.
because that's
No,
the-
that's real, man.
I don't know if we got 2,000 students ready to go.
Cool.
No, just 2,000 that are in the system. that
Yeah,
have not
yeah, and-
unlocked
yeah.
their money.
Just in workforce development.
Okay.
But there's general funds, there's county money as well that's involved with some of our internship program as well. And there's private money that's involved. So the number could be even greater than that overall. But the goal is with that range of universal students to find the one
Yeah,
that's gonna be really dedicated and committed,
Right,
even if
right.
they don't have the skill or the knowledge, but the
Right,
passion to
right.
do
So
it.
what we're
Agreed.
looking for, a small core group
Right,
to produce the product.
right,
But the audience, the reach, the
Right, the
people who
outreach.
who need to see
Mhm.
students on the camera, behind the scene,
Mhm.
producing something that's newsworthy,
Mhm.
economically challenging for them to understand, this is how I can unlock my money. This is what we want to do, is to
Mhm.
look at
Mm.
the total audience and the
Right,
reach. And
right.
so, Jermaine, question, how many students do you guys think you've served since you've been at LADC? Community colleges, five,
I mean, we're working with the community colleges and the universities in the area, so it's hard to put a gauge on that impact, because even the work that we do, if you just look at the ones that we actually count that log on to a session or we actually touch physically, our recordings are then shared as well. So it's hard to put a gauge on that. But I mean, just community college alone is 500,000 plus students. So
right. And so you just took 1% of those 5,000 people in the community colleges, and
you
maybe
said
the
500,000.
500,000. Okay, no, okay, but I'm going
I'll
with the
take the
1%
1%
rule.
though.
I'm just taking the 1%. Just take the 1% of the community college or your universities,
Mhm.
and all the other 18 to 24-year-old people who are not connected to any database.
Right,
Just 1% of those people who can tune into this program, who can learn
right.
a tactic or technique on how to get to the program, not try to do anything else.
I mean,
Right.
Jermaine, can you help us to market the idea? If we were to put something together, could we market to that group of 500,000 or more people that could actually tune into this? I mean, that's the piece missing for me, is how do you let people know this is happening so they could tune into it because they want to see what's happening?
yeah, I mean, for something like this, I mean, like I was saying before, I don't think I let you know, but we have a career exploration platform that we're putting out called Gladio LA. And so these are some of the things that we want to highlight on that platform. So like this would fall under, TV, film, and digital media, right? And we could essentially not only, really have a video and a landing page, but we could also feature something like this as a resource and an initiative in the community. So that's one way to do it, because we're going to be launching that, region wide. And that particular platform is focused on is focused on LA exclusively. And
When
then
you
the flip
launch-
side, so that's probably the biggest way.
Yeah, and
When
they-
are you launching?
We're launching Gladio LA on June 15th. We're doing a soft launch, and then we're doing a hard launch September 14th.
Man,
And
you can
making
be
it
part of
available.
that beta this summer when you soft launch. I mean, again, for me, from a time and effort perspective, if there's some marketing to highlight and there's some willingness to find it, even 10 kids that are the right kids that have the right willingness to do it, I'm all in on that to do something. Again,
Mhm.
time is money.
Right.
Speed to market is everything. The relevance of what we're trying to do is right here, right now. Only as COVID is starting to lift a little bit. I mean, kids are just finding it, going to their graduations in person. They haven't even seen any teachers. So there's a pent up demand to talk about different things and have this piece. So, I would just say, if there's a way to get some even basic beta marketing of it, a small kind of a program of dedicated folks over the summer where we can literally call it the pilot. And then what I'd love to do is say, if we're successful, in success, we all come back together and say, look, we've all donated some time, it's all come together, it hasn't been funded, but the opportunity will be, now let's use this, go do it the right way and go for the rest. But I feel like if you wait and try to do it the right way, it gets caught up in so much bureaucracy that too many people have to decide whether they want to do it or not. That if we just do it, then you have a much better chance of explaining to people how you did it.
And let me just give a little synergy to this. And Jermaine, this is something that you will find fascinating. The whole concept of Brownbagt TV was accelerated because there was a lady by the name of Carolyn Hull. Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we work with
Yeah,
we
yeah.
work with
So Carolyn-
we work with her.
Carolyn,
Yeah.
so Carolyn met one of our students named Shoni Monet Doe at Santa Monica College at a round table. And he was the one that said, hey, I was sent here by my instructor because they said, I can't be here, so just represent me and tell me what happened at the meeting. And he raised his hand in the meeting with all these people from Hulu and Netflix and LADC and whatever, and said, hey, well, is there any design for bringing students into this table in the conversation about our input? And everybody looked around like, who is this guy? And so
You got
that's,
nothing to lose.
that's when she saw that this young man could help put together a camera crew to record all the LAEDC meetings that they have. They have like a monthly meeting. I think they have one next week with Cal State Dominguez on streaming, or at Warner Brothers, it's streaming. But we were supposed to have a crew funded by LAEDC to record, capture, post-produce everything that they did as a monthly series. And it never happened because of,
Thanks, John. I think, John, you
Okay.
were about the bill. He just
Yeah.
typed in the chat.
okay, got it. So everything didn't happen because we were too premature. I think a lot of people just didn't think that we could do it at a commercial level, that the commercial appeal that would allow people to say, okay, we're spending money on these kids to learn. I don't think we're ready for that. And so that's where this thing was born out of 6-7 years ago. And so Carolyn left, and now it's now with you guys. And so we're coming full circle back to trying to make sure that she understands, yeah, we're ready now. We're ready to take a crew and put them on a story, to put them on a client, and to be able to produce a product.
Well, also with mentors and production professionals who can make sure they deliver a quality product.
Yeah.
That's the other piece. No,
that's-
I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty
Not only,
obvious, right?
yeah,
You can't
quality
teach
on
that.
time and on budget.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
look, I struggle with that on a regular basis, and I just had a producer give me a hard time because I had little less than 24 hours to produce something to go to the United Nations. I said, look, man, I'm not going to the United Nations sitting here with no BS looking video. And I said, brother, I know it's 24 hours. I know it's late. He
Right.
stayed up till 3 o'clock this morning and got me a production quality video. I can show you guys the thing here. But that's the kind of opportunity and project, though, that I can recreate. And I still have to do another piece of that. And I can say, hey, look, here's what you got produced professionally. Here's what it looks like. Here's what you need to work toward.
Right.
Now, let's deconstruct that. I'd be happy to have kids who are not that try to mimic that production style with all the same elements. And I could then say, here's the production version. Here's the kid produced version. And I can teach with that, right?
Right.
How good is it? Okay, what did you miss? What's your audio cues? What's this? What's that? But it has subject matter that's relevant. It's real. It's current. So they can feel like I'm not just coming up with BS. I'm really doing real projects that might matter out there. And it's going to be judged based on professional quality. Because if you get a job, you need to be able to do something in that process.
Right. Your resume and it's good, but your skill set better resemble at least your resume.
When I ask you to produce something, it better look like what
So
you
here's the
said.
last piece that I was gonna ask John, but we've actually saw the new intercom/audio broadcast facility on Wilshire, mid-Wilshire. It's a multi-million-dollar facility that we now have the availability to go in there and produce shows.
Okay.
So we have places like the city, we have other venues where we can go mobily and create the product. So
Right.
it's important that we can use a center, a partner.
Grassroots.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, so we can start, they can practice, they
Right.
can, again, be able to get hands-on so we can get them
Well,
ready
look,
for real
I mean, I'll
change.
show you right now. Here's the video.
At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce some of the
So
sporting
this thing too.
ambassadors that represent the ARDN Red Card campaign.
My name is Tanya Mazina, and I'm a 17-year-old motocross rider from Chicago, and I support the ARDN Red Card campaign to abolish discrimination and violence against women and girls.
My name is Funok Waldemar. I'm from Eritrea, coach on the first HBCU cycling team at St. Augustine's University, and I support the ARDN Red Card campaign to abolish discrimination and violence against women and girls.
Hi, my name is Aliyah. Hi, I'm Yasmin, and we're drivers for Gear Racing, and we support the ARDN campaign to abolish discrimination and violence against women and girls.
My name is Keiston Brown. I am from Greensboro, North Carolina. I am a cyclist for the Force HBCU cycling team. I share just in the team, and I support the ARDN campaign to abolish discrimination and violence against women and girls.
81,000 women and girls were killed in 2020. More than half were killed by the hands of an intimate partner or a family member. These are shocking statistics. especially given that we as a global community have committed to ending gender-based violence and empowerment of women by 2030 under the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. Now, 2030 is just around the corner. We don't have time. So here's a call to action. We invite the women and girls out there to raise their voices, raise awareness, and amplify the issues that are affecting them in the home, at school, at work, and the community at large. Let us know what the issues are. Raise your voice. We invite the policymakers, the duty bearers who have committed to attaining these targets in their respective countries, to share with us what they plan to do to address these issues and these gaps by 2030. Then we invite the implementers, the funders and the donors who are doing a great job funding and supporting conferences and workshops, webinars, and making sure we document the progress. But we need to do more. What more can be done? How can we take these programs to scale and these good lessons learned? We'd love to hear from you too. 1 million voices. Join us. It's time for the change. Let's end gender-based violence and empower women. It's time.
Very good.
So now that
Mhm.
is, so she's from South Africa. She's dealing with a group called Higher Health. It's from the South African government. These were people around the world who we gave them the script, told them what to do for the red card people. So they all sent it in. Chris was the guy who put it together as motorsports ambassador. Point being, I'm showing up at the UN on next Wednesday. I got all of this content yesterday morning.
Wow.
And I had to have it in by the end of the day today. And I had a producer, and I'm literally up at 3 o'clock in the morning to him. And he, like, if you talk what was raw, you saw what he did, that guy, that's why he does broadcast quality stuff. And what folks need to understand is if you're good, if you can do what you do, his input here was invaluable because I had a bunch of raw stuff. And he's like, hey man, I need a script. I'm like, bro, I got less than 24 hours, no script. I just need you to know she's the most important part of the story. These are the other pieces. And literally, he came back. He added the music, he added the graphics, he added the lower thirds. I mean, he did all of that within less than 24 hours.
That's pretty good because my first thing is that if you're not using the same camera, so you're not getting the same context in terms of video quality, and then you need to go into post to make sure that they roll together. That's the trick and that's the work.
He normalized that, he normalized the audio, he put the rest of it, and he did all of this in less than 24 hours.
Wow,
but that's what a professional, and truth, right? So I paid him $500 for 24 hours, which is not even his regular rate. That's just because he's my boy and he's not gonna let me. I said, bro, you cannot leave me hanging going to the United Nations. The point is, that's digital media production 101 in terms of taking disparate sources, coming together. You know, I was the producer, I collaborated on the sources, but without this guy, all that great stuff would just go to waste. If I put together a shoddy presentation like that in front of the UN, the whole initiative goes down. And so the impact or the value that can be had. And now we're going to take that and we're going to put it in social. We're going to make TikToks. We're going to make Instagrams. We're going to make YouTube clips. And we're going to use all of those pieces to accelerate that even further.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I want you guys to imagine that if we have the group of students that you can identify, including Damone and some other people that I can pick off. I want to start with that group and, you know, weaponize them with the scripts and the plan to produce the inaugural program. The first show that I imagine doing is one that we can get consensus on. What do we want this to do? We want this show to be something that promotes a campaign, or is it for news, or something relevant to our cause?
Okay, so first, there's the radio project, all right?
Well,
and then there's the video project. Or is it the same?
Well, it's integratable. They're stackable pieces, because I believe now to do anything, we can have a radio show that has video overlay, that has the ability to be streamed to a live audience. or it could be just something that could be a podcast that's archived. Or
Yeah.
it could be anything we want it to be, because that's what it is that we have to figure out who's the client and who's the audience.
Okay, all right, so yeah, that's the clarification I kind of need, is like a clear, like, plan flow of where, from beginning to where the objective is at the
Right.
end.
Yeah, so the plan is to produce a product with a client.
Mhm.
Who is the client? Could it be the city of LA?
Okay. Mhm.
Could it be the county of Los Angeles?
Right.
Who's the audience?
Mhm. Okay.
And how are we going to connect all that?
Or I would say this, if we can pull together the right kids and we call it career exploration, I'll provide the content and the projects.
Mhm.
And I'll say, look, I've got plenty of work to do. I got plenty of projects. And in lieu of having a commitment from another client, I'll play the role of the instructor and the client
Mhm.
and have them work on projects that I'm working on. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to be working with professionals on these projects.
Mhm.
So they're really going to just shadow what I'm doing for real. If this looks good enough, it might make the final cut, but at least they can go along on the process and the
Right.
journey through this exploration and see it for real.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's a logistic applied to, to bring in students, a group of students in, and so the clearer we can about our objective and pinpoint each stage, it's important, because we're dealing with time, transportation is an issue, and a lot of things come into play.
Right.
So we have to really clearly identify what
Well,
it is.
whoever those
before we
10
start.
students are, we have to know their capabilities and their barriers. And some of them have to work virtually, and they can't.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of things that entry-level people will have to do as their first job is
Well,
basically.
I say this, man. I mean,
Uploading content.
virtual people can participate, but I would like to have a group of 10 kids who
Yeah.
show up here. And I say this, if you get 3 hours a week,
Yeah.
because again, 11 to 2 on a Friday for 10 weeks or
Right.
12 weeks, and it's a set group that come
Right.
here.
The truth is the students will be here.
Okay.
If they're working and they're doing video production, they're here.
So
They're
that-
in our building.
I
Yeah,
think
so
that makes sense.
that's, so what do you say, 10 students to
So
start with?
I think 10, I think keep it small, right?
Yes, keep it
10
small, yeah.
qualified, and what I would like to rely on you and you do video production. Who would you trust on your crew? I mean, for real, right? Because in the end, I'm gonna look at you like, hey man, you was dude, make that happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But really, because I think I find students are more, I can do one thing, but students are more receptive to a peer who they look up to, and they say, hey man, I want to be on his crew because he's up here doing this, right? But those things help.
Right. Yeah.
So Kevin, how do you feel about that? What you've heard this far?
I mean, everything's fine. What I'm hearing. I could definitely see it happening. I like the idea more of like pre-recorded kind of content instead of like live content. Especially for like the audience we're working with, students. I feel like they can start off with like pre-recorded content and work their way into like, live streaming things. Yeah.
No, look, I'm with you. I think look, an idea of like one of the first lessons you can have is I can show people that video. I can here's all the elements and a bunch of stuff we didn't get to use. You give me your 3-minute rendition of how you would redo that video. Like that for me could be an easy lesson, and you could come in, illustrate, have conversations. I can bring in the guy who cut this and say, hey man, talk about our experience and when we made this. Because we can tell you about the arguments we had last night and all the rest, but they need to hear what was missing. What did I not do right that you would have wanted to do if we'd done that in production? And have the kids then do it right. He would have said script. And maybe we could spend the first week of saying, hey guys, here's the content, go look at it, check it out. Come back next week with your versions of a script, break it down into teams, right? And now 3 teams, y'all come up with the best. Okay, the best script is what we're gonna try to shoot. Cool. We got the one script. Now we got the script. Show me your edit on that. And then we do it the next week. And then we try to present and say, hey, look, all right, guys, as a team, show me your 3. We all sit here and watch it. You come in. What do we like? Was it good? Well, let's break it down because that's our business.
That's how we do it. That's exactly what we do with the video. Everybody pitch in and put ideas together. Then we go over time and time to really refine it to get a decent product that you can show.
So here's the magic.
Brownbagt TV.
Right, so here's the magic question. So I believe there's 30 other agencies kind of like you guys.
15. It's gonna be 14 soon.
14, okay. So there's 14 other agencies that are supposed to be doing this kind of stuff. We know you've heard of Brotherhood Crusade, right?
Right.
We've had this conversation with them. They've got a lot of infrastructure that is a little older than what you guys have. They've got a radio room, they've got a computer lab, streaming, whatever. I don't know about these other agencies, but
most of them are not at this
level.
Right.
Right. would you guys be willing at some point, as this thing scaled, to bring in other agencies, the 14 other agencies, maybe one or two students from their?
Of course. It would be on the agencies. Sometimes they don't like to expose their kid to other agencies.
Yeah, but see, the whole,
Everybody's fighting over time.
Yeah.
right, what's the whole notion of this thing is scale.
Right.
If we don't scale, then what are we doing?
So,
There you
so
go.
Kevin, I would say this: put out a project here, and you challenge other agencies to match that. Right? Here's a process. Here's a playbook. Here's a playbook that you get to originate.
Right.
And say, hey guys, we got the playbook.
Yeah.
We got a template.
They're not going to do it. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Wow.
They won't. Because a lot of agencies, they're primarily focused on their numbers to meet their the performance standards, and they're really obsessed with that.
Well, that's their challenge.
That's their challenge, and that
compliance,
but agency like Brotherhood Crusade and us, we are expanding not just about the numbers, but include other programs that really are connected to what the kids want, what the young adults want. So that's kind of the difference.
So here, Jermaine, we've been asked, what's next steps? Can you offer any suggestions on how LADC could help us play a role in getting a pilot together? Based on what you've heard?
I mean, there's a few different ways. What do you guys need in terms of funding? Is I think the
Man,
one part.
we should put together a real budget for each show.
Yeah.
I mean, a real budget so that you understand, market, pricing for what it costs. These aren't just students, these are real professionals. So we can put a budget together. We're not looking for anything else other than the pilot to become a successful series of successes. So we can put together a budget.
Got it. I mean, on one thing we can do right away is obviously feature you guys on Gladio. We'll cover the $5,000 that it costs to get that video and that content loaded up into the Gladio platform and available, so that we can highlight this as an initiative that's going on and put those kids on camera, and let them tell their story. So that's one thing we can do right away that we can take care of. We have a foundation, Irvine and Hilton Foundation, that are funding that. So we can take care of that on our end immediately. So we just got to put that together and figure out what that's going to look like. I mean, outside of that, in terms of actually just pushing the initiative forward, we kind of just, I think, need to put everything down, get everything down on paper. You know what I mean? And attach a budget to it and then go from there so that, we can present it. One thing we could do is really present it to some of our board, because we have some pretty large, businesses that are on our board that may be willing to support something like this and really put a lot behind it. So
I think to your point, one of the lessons, like when we talk career exploration, one of the first things that we did was have every kid come up and introduce themselves. And the second week, we put them on camera, did exactly what you said. You need to give your pitch for yourself. We had some really uncomfortable kids who didn't like to do it, but they needed to see themselves, see how they present, see how they look, because you're the first part of the product people are going to buy into, because before you even get a chance to get in the job, you got to stand up and tell somebody, hi, I'm Terrence Coles. I'm looking to be a video media production expert. I'd like to do this. I know I'm good at Adobe Photoshop. I'm good at After Effects. I'm good at Final Cut. I'm good at whatever. And, I've worked on these 5 projects. Right. And somebody's going to from that.
And so that whole process was almost a 16-week semester course we did at LA Mission College. And so we have the Google Docs for the curriculum, the lesson plans, and all the media components to show you what we did, as a vendor to try to deliver something for LA Mission against their funding. So the goal really is to kind of upgrade what we knew in 2018 as career exploration as to what it is today.
Right.
And these were college students. We got 30 students. We boiled down to about 12, and they had to pitch. Their final project was to pitch in front of a group of stakeholders in the county and the city. And on a state, a brand new broadcast facility.
I think what was interesting was none of them really came in knowing anything about the subject matter or wanting to be there. And I think that's the difference here, is having kids who are interested in the subject matter, wanting to be here, wanting to go through the process. I mean, if we were able to take reluctant kids who didn't know why they'd be there, just what it sounded good, but had zero skills and zero desire to necessarily go to the next level afterwards, like, okay, well, if we can at least have somebody have the desire to go somewhere after the fact, we might be able to push somebody somewhere, especially when we're talking about jobs, careers, pipelines, to your point, right? You gotta put in the work, internships, whatever.
Yeah. Like, for example, the last big project we did was the feature. And out of that feature, one of the young lady that's in there, she got a scholarship over to UC Berkeley.
Nice.
One of the kid that starred, the main star of that movie, he's now on, is it Glee? He stars in Glee, and the other kid was the new Glee that's just come out. And the other kid, and that kid's name was Matt Carnett. And the other kid, he started, his co-stars in a couple of motion pictures.
Okay.
You know, Fist Fight was one of the last one I seen, but he's been, so when you connect kids to who already have the passion, forget if they don't have the skills or whatever else.
Right.
If they have the passion, they're gonna, it's like going, you could, the easiest trip, water to fall is the one that the river that's going downstream, right? So if we already have that, then we're connected to the kids that we're truly talking about.
Right.
Yes.
So guys, so this is what I'm gonna offer up. I have I got a blog that has all the elements of what we did for that LA Mission Career Exploration 2018 semester course. The capstone project was a summit at LA Mission College where we had all the city and the county there to see these students' presentation. I want to duplicate that, upgrade it, and that's really what it is that I think we can do.
And I'll start working on updated curriculum. I mean, in the end, it probably makes sense to have, what we did there was we had an opening session to kids who thought they wanted to be part of it. And then out of that 30 or so, 12 came, but I think the same kind of thing here. So in June, if you're really gonna start in July 15th, then June says you get some kids who might want to be part of starting July 15th and just say, hey, look, this is it, gives you 3 or 4 weeks to think about it. We can lay out the plan, lay out the opportunity, lay out the expectations, and then qualify the right group of 10 that can start July 15th when you guys start. And then we figure out the weeks. I'll start working on the curriculum if it makes sense. And, you know, it just gives us a path.
And the only organization I've got a commitment for students, and I don't know how many we could use or you could integrate, is a program Ozzy Lopez. You know Ozzy?
Yeah, I know Ozzy very well.
So we have a group of students from LA College Promise, and their mission is to use community college graduation to get an A degree for citizenship as a career pathway component. And so these are students that are first, they're first generation students, from Central South America. And I want to take on some of those guys because we still want the integration of people who look at academia, because we know that academia maybe is not the final solution, but there's some people who can still push back on people not having any.
Right, and that's important. That's important. Yeah, but the skill set or the passion for it.
Yeah, I don't know who these people are. As a matter of fact, he's gonna be submitting these people to us.
Okay.
And as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to have you on the committee of people who can determine who could come here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the only program that I know that has some interest in getting, a few of their students into a project like this. Okay, so hey, I know we burn up everybody's time, man. So hey, thank you, Jermaine.
Nice meeting you.
No problem. Nice meeting you guys as well.
We'll get some stuff to you so that you can actually figure out how to get us into Gladio, to get us, get our students, introduced to your community and how we can start to market this to your network of colleges and stakeholders.
Absolutely.
Any last suggestions, comments, or anything before we break?
No, that's it. And I mean, the other piece with Gladio is, we'll be able to showcase and kind of train folks there at the center, but also the youth in general, for other youth that are not necessarily interested in TV, film, and media, but ones that are interested in other career pathways. And so we'll get them trained up on that. We'll do a couple sessions with you all once that online platform is available, so that they can navigate and get access to opportunities as well.
That sounds great, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's wonderful.
Okay, guys. All right. Well, thank you, guys. I'm gonna burn up all your Friday, but this is gonna be worth it. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.